Good day, folks. This is Greg, Judy at Green Pastures Farm. Today, I'm going to be talking, the subject is grass-finished meat, and we're going to be talking about these two steaks we have here in front of us. They're actually ribeyes. These are two of our South Pole steers that were brought in 2 weeks ago. And what we normally do is we'll take a ribeye out of each one, and we bring it home and we actually grill it. And it's taken out, right in here on the half of the beef. And so this is one steer that weighed 584 pounds right here. That was his hanging weight. So what is hanging weight? Hanging weight is the weight of the animal with the hide, the head, the feet, and the entrails removed from the animal. And so you get a hanging weight. That's what the customer uses. That's how we sell our animals, is by the hanging weight. And the customer pays us so much a pound for that. Well, then the butcher charges so much a pound to process that based on hanging weight. This steer, so this one weighed 584 pounds. That was the smaller one. And the solid red steer, if you all remember when we brought him in, this is him. His hanging weight was 632. So ours usually range, I tell people, from about 560 to 640 is our hanging weight. And you do that conventional, like a corn-finished steer, these bigger framed animals, it's not uncommon to have a 900-pound hanging weight. Well, a lot of that hanging weight, of course, is fat. It's corn fat. This is grass fat. You can see it's got a yellower color to it. I don't have a piece of corn-fed beef here with us, but it's going to have a more whiter fat to it. This is the beta-carotene from the grasses that the animals have been eating. And if you look in here, there's some pretty good marbling in here. You can see the fat streaks going through that animal. Nice big fat layers. Folks, this is like manna from heaven when you eat this. This is what gives it the flavor. Everybody's talking about, oh, we got to have a lean steer or a lean piece of meat. No, you need fat. Fat is where the flavor's at. So I will take these ribeyes, and we're going to take them onto the grill. Not today. I'm going to leave them in the refrigerator, put them in their plastic wrappers, and let them set tonight. And these will be actually put on the grill, and I make darn sure that when I cook these, they're just medium rare. We want them pink in the middle. You don't want to overcook your steak. If you overcook your steak, you've ruined it. You've taken all the moisture out of it. So what I do is I get my briquettes going. We use a Weber. I get all my, if this is the grill, let's just say this is the grill. I get all my briquettes white, and I push them over to this side of my grill. And when that steak goes on there, we use just plain good salt, the kosher type salt, grind it, fresh ground salt on it, and we use peppercorn pepper, freshly ground, and we put it on each side of the steak. So when that goes on the grill, I've got my vents shut down. They're just barely open, okay? I slap these steaks right over the coals for 1 minute. And I mean, I'm looking at my watch, 1 minute. I grab my tongs, I flip them over again, put the lid back on, 1 minute. After that 1 minute, I take my lid off, I pull my steaks over to the other side of my grill. My coals are over here. The steaks are over here, okay? They're not over the heat anymore. Put the lid back on. And in about, these are pretty thick. These are, that's a,
there's a room.
Well, here's a, yeah, so that's a full inch. There's an inch right there. That's a full inch thick steak, ribeye. And we leave it in there for about 4 minutes. 4.5 minutes, you're going to have medium rare steak. Folks, when you take it off and you put it in your pan, we use glass pans, preheated. Keep that pan you put your steak into heated, because if you take your steak out and put it in a cold pan, it sucks all the heat out of your steak. A cold pan does, and keep some aluminum foil over it. So now we're talking about having it rest. We call that going through a rest period. So now it sets there, and when it rests, you'll see juices come up to the top of that steak. And it's permeating. It's still cooking inside. That's why it's called rest. eat your salad, get on the steak. So Jan and I, we will sit down and we'll taste test these. If we can cut that steak with a knife, put it in our mouth, and chew it, and it's a very pleasant eating experience. In other words, your teeth glide through the meat. If you sit there and chew on it to try and break it down, that's a tough piece of meat. That animal will be ground into hamburger. When an animal's ground into hamburger, they're all tender. It's wonderful. It's just some of the best hamburger you ever put in your mouth. I'm looking at these, and if I had to guess, I'm going to say both of them are going to be really, really good.
Do the spring test.
There's a spring test. I've cleaned my hand off, plus we're going to be eating them. But you can take your finger like this, set it on the meat, and push down on it. And you shouldn't have to put a lot of pressure on it, and your hand, it left an impression in there. This one, oh my gosh, yep. So just by that, I can tell you the spring test on the meat. The bigger steer is going to be a little bit more tender than this one. This one's got a little bit more resistance to it. It's not bad. I think it's going to be all right, but this one's going to be exquisite. I can tell all that just by the weight of my finger letting it sit on that meat. Oh gosh, I'm getting hungry just looking at this. But the fat cover, I've already measured it with the tape measure. It ranges from 3/8 of an inch on the heaviest part here down to 1/4 of an inch. It's got fat cover all down the sides of it. Folks, this is something I want you all to be aware of. When you season a grass-finished steak in your locker plant, and a lot of people, oh, you let it hang 25, 30 days. Well, you can do that. I'm not saying you can't, but you're going to lose a lot of money in the form of weight. Your customer comes to pick his meat up. He's like, Greg, you sold me 584 pounds of hanging weight. Where's all my meat at? Well, a lot of it went out on the locker plant floor. On grass-fed, you lose a lot of moisture. So the longer you let it hang, remember, meats, these animals are like 65, 70% water. It's dropping out of that carcass. Grain-fed, you got all that fat in there, a lot more fat, a lot more cover. The white fat is all through the meat. It holds the moisture better, and you can hang those longer. Grass-fed, folks, if that meat is still tough, after 14 to 16 days, it's not going to help it to hang it another 14 days. All you're doing is losing money. You're losing weight. Okay? So if it's tough at 14, grind it. That's what we do. These animals here, I think, are going to be pretty good. I can't wait to grill these. We're going to have a video on that, and just kind of covering, what it looks like on the grill, when to flip it over, how long to let it rest before you eat it. Don't let your steak get cold. When I do these, Jan and I, we are focused on this because we got customers that are waiting on these bees. We want to make sure that we sell a pleasant eating experience. We've got one of the customers that wants all of her meat in hamburger, so she's good to go. I noticed when Larry, our butcher, is cutting these, on a grain-fed beef that's cut up, you have tubs that you put all your scraps into. Scrap meaning fat, lots of fat. I noticed when he cuts the grain-fed versus the grass-fed, which is ours, there is a whole lot more waste. There's a whole lot more trimming because he's got to cut all that white fat off. On a grass-fed, there's not that much to cut off. And Larry doesn't like cutting all that off because he's getting, people accuse him of stealing meat because they paid for, let's say, 900 pounds hanging weight. They come to get their meat, they're only getting 600. 300 of it ended up in the rendering tub as fat. It's going into the dump. It's going into the landfill. Ours, literally, you can cut a whole one of our steers up and you've only got one tub, and most of that's bone. So I think there's a lot of waste in overfeeding animals. You can feed them too long on grass. It's not waste. They just keep putting meat on. So these are going to be, it's going to be interesting to tell. So my vote is the bigger steer is going to be more tender than the smaller steer. And I may be completely wrong, but I'm kind of guessing that. These are two really good cookbooks. This is by Shannon Hayes. She's a friend of ours. It's called The Grass-Fed Gourmet. This is one of them. And this one is The Farmer and the Grill. And Shannon, she has a farm out on the East Coast. And Shannon traveled the world learning how to cook grass-fed meats. And they have beef and lamb on their farm in the East Coast. If you're on the East Coast, check out Shannon Hayes. Her and her family do a wonderful job out there. And she's very passionate about cooking and doing it correctly. And there's all kinds of recipes in there on lamb, chicken, beef, you name it, it's in there. So I think with that, I'm going to wrap this up. But again, it's going to be a pretty interesting taste test. For those of you all new to the channel, on the way out, hit that subscribe button and the like. Jan said hit the like button. And we're going to see you all down the road. The next video, I'm going to make one. We're actually going to be grilling these. And then we get to eat them. And y'all are going to get in on that too. So anyway, this is Greg Judy signing off. Everyone have a great day.